all year long, I'll admit I've got a touch of various disorders, and OCD is one of them, and it's been bothering me, this concept of having fewer than 16 regular season games or just any number of uneven games. If everybody plays 15, like 1987, fine. If everybody plays 9, like 1982, fine. It's bothered me that you could have some teams with 16, some with 15, some with 14, and then you determine playoff position based on winning percentage, and you would have someone inevitably on the outside looking in saying, if we would have gotten to play one more game, or if the team ahead of us had been forced to play one more game, maybe we get in and they don't. So I've been bothered by that because in my mind that undermines the integrity of the season. But when you look at what's gone on, for me the tipping point was the Broncos game. We've already undermined the integrity of the season by forcing teams to go forward without any quarterbacks. You have to play a game with 0 quarterbacks. You have to grab a practice squad receiver on roughly 24 hours notice and get the guy ready. And look, the Broncos have said all the right things because I don't think anybody wants to be in the crosshairs of 345 Park Avenue right now. I think that within the walls of the Broncos facility, there are some people who are very pissed off. And there are some people who think that they got screwed. One of the reasons they think they got screwed, they're the ones who self-reported the video of the quarterbacks in the meeting room for an approved meeting, even though someone from somewhere leaked it was an unsanctioned meeting. It was an approved meeting. And there was an issue for a small period of time with masks. And that becomes all of your quarterbacks are on the COVID-19 reserve list. And my understanding is that the Broncos informed the league of that on Friday, and it was like 30 hours later when they finally heard they won't have their quarterbacks. Gee, thanks a lot for giving us a fair opportunity to get someone else ready to play. So it's just, for me, that's the moment where I've come to the conclusion, I don't care if there aren't enough games, if there aren't an even number of games. There's already enough games because we had 9 per team in 1982. Everybody's got at least 11 now, except for the teams that still are left to play this weekend. So we're fine. We're past the top of the 5th for the rain out in the baseball game, Charean. I'm not going to obsess over whether or not one team gets to 16, one team gets to 15, one team gets to 14. The hay is in the barn. Let's just do what we can to be fair to everyone, to be safe and courteous and respectful to the players, and let's just hope that they get into a bubble by the time the postseason rolls around so we don't have these issues every day.
Well, and remember, Mike, we're going to go to the extra playoff teams too. If that scenario does play out, we're going to have 8 teams in each conference that go to the postseason. So if you're not in that top 8, you probably don't deserve to go to the playoffs anyway. So, the expanded playoffs are probably going to take care of that. I'm with you. I would have rather have seen the Broncos game postponed for a day or two or completely wiped off the schedule, whatever you have to do. But that was not a competitive game. It was not worth watching. I watched maybe 2 or 3 series of that one just out of curiosity of what the Broncos were going to do. But like you said, they didn't have enough time to prepare, even to go to a wildcat type offense or whatever they were going to do. They didn't even have time to prepare for that. And so it was blatantly unfair to the Broncos what happened. Now you can put it on them that they're the ones that took the mask off in the meetings, whatever you want to do, but it was not a competitive game. No one expected the Broncos to go in there and win with no quarterback, and they certainly didn't. They got blown out by the Saints, who didn't even have 100 yards passing. So it was a useless game, and there've probably been now 2 or 3 of these games when you just knew one team was going in there with absolutely no chance because of the COVID issues that they had. And I think we're looking at that same scenario for the Ravens against the Steelers. Even if the game's played on Wednesday, I'm not giving the Ravens any chance to win this game on Wednesday. 0. They will get blown out.
It was funny, only because funny is the best way to react, because if you don't laugh, you end up crying. Earlier today on PFT Live, we pivoted from talking about the battle between the current GOAT and the future GOAT to Broncos Saints, with a receiver playing quarterback for one team and a tight end playing quarterback for the other team, although I continue to be a Taysom Hill fan. I'm not going to sacrifice a good joke just because I'm a Taysom Hill fan. Updated news from Albert Breer of SI.com. The Ravens plan to fly to Pittsburgh Tuesday night after they find out about their COVID testing for tomorrow. The Ravens, one of the teams that is sufficiently close to the testing laboratory that they get their results far earlier than others. Some teams don't find out until early morning the next day. The Ravens usually find out by 5 p.m. Eastern, sometimes 6 o'clock, sometimes in that window of what, and it's obviously expedited now because of their situation. There was one additional positive today. It was someone on injured reserve. My understanding is it's someone that they expected as they deal with this tail end of the outbreak from last week. But they want to see if there's any more positives tomorrow before they put everyone in a plane. And actually, the plan is to use 2 planes. Not that that makes it any better, but at least you can spread out a little bit more in 2 planes. And there likely will still be some trepidation if there are any remaining positives tomorrow. But that's the plan for now. It continues to be fluid, and it just shows you how determined the NFL is to get all the games played, that they haven't just said, forget it. We're not playing this game, or we're postponing it indefinitely with the possibility that we'll play at Week 18, assuming there isn't a better option available involving one of these 2 teams.
And Mike, this is a team that hasn't practiced in the last 10 days either. Presumably they're on the field now getting some work in, but they haven't had a full practice in 10 days. So it's incredible that you're asking them to go play a football game, an NFL team going to play a football game with 20 guys. I think we're up to 20 or close to 20 guys on the COVID list over the past week. More than 30 in the organization have tested positive, and they're going to play a game on Wednesday. Practice or not, starting quarterback or not, starting offensive line or not, get out there and go play.
Yeah, and we'll just see how it all continues to play out. And they have had walkthroughs, and this is part of the problem. This is one of the reasons why they ended up being shut down. Trying to get the game in Thursday, the league let them have a walkthrough last Monday, despite knowing there were multiple players who played on Sunday against the Titans who were positive, Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins, and then the league let them gather on Tuesday for a walkthrough, knowing that there had been positives from Monday. And it wasn't until they figured out that the situation was getting worse, not better on Tuesday, that they shut the facility. So they almost got a full practice in last Tuesday walkthrough, and it's going to be a walkthrough tonight. They're not going to go out there and put on the pads and do that. They're just trying to get themselves mentally ready to run their offense and their defense against the Steelers. But you're right. At the end of the day, And I don't want to paint myself into a corner on this and say there's no way in hell the Ravens can win, because who knows in the National Football League. And they do have an actual quarterback playing, not a converted receiver in RG3. And RG3 has had success in the past, but I'd be stunned if this game's even competitive. We'll watch it because it's football and it's on TV.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.